Want to hear a secret? Just off the 2-lane hustle of the freeway, there's another way to get to where you're going. Maybe more. It'll be quieter. It might take a little longer, but there's more to see and most definitely more to do. This is where people live, not just pull over to fill up and move on. Australia is a big, bold and beautiful country. So as we rush from here to there, we're missing the very best bits. There are stacks of stories to find and family memories to be made. Your best history might be a turn-off away. Subaru's Great Australian Detour is a celebration of the long way, of taking a moment to not only explore where we live, but how. It's fun. But you knew that. Wasn't really a secret after all. A genuine treat for you on this Great Australian Detour. We're taking the Subaru Outback all-wheel drive Touring to the Outback. From the air, on foot, by road, physically, spiritually, we've got Wilpena Pound covered. As sad as I am to see Adelaide disappear in the rear vision mirror behind me, I'm really excited about where we're going, and that is the Flinders Ranges. We're going to take the Outback. We're headed for Wilpena Pound in the Flinders Ranges. I've got some idea what to expect, and this is most definitely a detour, though not necessarily the long way. Of the 3 options, normally I'd be drawn to the coast road, but there's a rumour up the middle is the best. So you're wondering about the road. I know. Well, it's straight and flat, and then it goes flat and straight, except for when you cross over the train line. Then you go left, then right. And if you go the other way, then you go right, then left. Otherwise, pretty much straight and flat. And yet, as similar as it all seems, the view and the road do change, quite significantly, though often without you realising it. From wheat to grazing country, flatland to rolling hills, and of course the colours. Blazing blue sky working against the stubbled wheat or hay. The soil turns slowly to a beautiful burnt sienna. So we're getting closer to the Outback. I don't think there'll be a sign. There'll be no, "You are now Outback." But we'll know. Some of the towns are, well, how would you say it? Small? Yeah, they're small. Blythe, Clare, Yatina, Orroroo and Urialla. Of course, the whole point is to stop, see the brown sign, enjoy the detour. In Australia, we seem to have a fascination with big things like the big trout or the prawn or the banana. Well, they're all fake. But in Orroroo, they've got the giant red gum tree. So this tree's over 500 years old. It's just, beautiful. The red dirt's teased us, occasionally visible through the wheat and arable land. And that green tinge, it feels like nature's last blush from the summer rain before the dry bites and scratches it all away. It's great when a long drive feels quite short, and honestly, that's how it's been. Wilpena Pound is base camp for this historic area. And this is Adnyamathanha country. Adna for rock, Matna for people. These are the rock people. The welcome from everyone is both heartfelt and spiritual.
Nanga ngai michi arinina. Hello, my name is Charlene. Welcome to my country.
Charlene, I'm Andrew. I'm thrilled to be here. Like, I've been looking forward to this for so long. What can we expect from Wilpena Pound? You know, what do you love about it?
Or everything, actually. This place is everything.
It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
Just driving
Everything.
in, there was
you know,
that...
this was my backyard as a kid, and I think you don't really fully appreciate what you have as a child until much later in life. But it's a very special place for my people. The spirit of the land is still quite strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very strong.
So for us as tourists, you know, like, I mean, you've got that long heritage and your own personal history. We're here for 5 minutes. What do we need to see to get a feeling?
You can go anywhere and you feel it. Like, it is a very spiritual place. It's a place of, a lot of people say it's a place of healing. Adnyamathanha Gorge and Sacred Canyon, they're probably the must-sees here.
Okay.
I tell people, see everything on the land, learn the dreaming stories and how my people will explain how the pound is formed. Then when you then take a flight and see it from the air, and when you do, it's like, I was 19 when I'd heard dreaming stories my whole life about how the pound was formed. And I was 19 when I took my first flight, and it was like, wow, I can see snake tracks. And that's all I saw, you know?
I think that's exactly what we're going to do, those three things.
Yep. In our dreaming stories, they teach you rules for living. So they teach you about, you know, being kind, being respectful, sharing, but they also teach you how things were formed, why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And some of it is actually just unexplainable. You can't explain it. Like the formation of the pound, you know, and the two giant serpents, they formed all the gorges and creeks as they came down to the pound and then formed the pound itself.
Yeah.
But when you see that from the air, when you hear that story and you see it from the air, that's exactly that's all I see.
Yeah. Charlie, thanks so much for that beautiful welcome. And I can't wait to experience your country.
Enjoy my country.
Welcomed, fed and watered, it's a huge day tomorrow with a sunrise start. On Charlie's advice, it's an early start for an aerial view of Wilpena Pound. A chance to orient ourselves to what's coming on the ground. Mark, we've got a 30-minute flight. What are we going to see?
Yeah, we're going to go straight up over the top of the pound. We'll see it for its true form. Then we'll head up to the north. We'll go and see Bunyura and Adnyamathanha Gorge, come back over the top of the Razorback Lookout, and we're back here.
Okay.
You'll be really surprised by what we see up there.
And how?
Just the change of perspective on the landscape. We don't see the pound for what it truly is until we're up there.
Okay. Because it's phenomenal now.
It's a great set of hills from here, but we can't see its true form.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, can we?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Wilpena traffic, Whiskey Papa November, Cessna 206 is entering and backtracking runway 09 for a local scenic Wilpena.
So these are the Flinders Ranges?
Yeah, we're in the Flinders Ranges.
Okay.
And I imagine that's probably the photos you've seen before, whether on a postcard or online or something like that.
Yes. That's the photo I'm going to take.
This is exactly where we took that photo.
Wow. In a geological sense, this was an inland sea, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you imagine drawing a line from Kangaroo Island pretty much straight north and somewhere up towards Adnyamathanha or so, Australia tore apart on that line, and the ocean rolled on in from the south, and that's why we talk about that inland sea here. So it may not have even required, you know, a rise in sea level. It's just that Australia split. We had a gap to fill, and that's more it. As the ocean was rolling in and out, bringing in silt and sand and all that sort of material, if you imagine the first seabed under that ocean being my dashboard here, as that ocean has brought in the other material, it's gradually settled down and gradually formed a second layer of sediments on top, and then a third on top of that, and fourth and fifth and sixth. And we kept stacking on those layers for a good 400 million years or so. And then Australia decided to push back together. In pushing back together, we'd built up 10 to 14 kilometres worth of sediment. So it's not just going to squeeze back together like nothing ever happened. It's got to go somewhere and it's got to do something. And a really nice way to look at it is as if you were placing your hands on a nice flat tablecloth back at home. If you slid your hands together on the tablecloth, you would get a ripple in the middle. So that ripple is the Flinders Ranges around us right now.
Not nearly as majestic or spiritual as the...
Not quite, no.
There is another origin story for the pound, and that's coming up. What is clear is this is an amazing part of Australia. Half a day's drive from Adelaide, it doesn't seem real. Almost like we've been transported into another world, and yet that might be an apt description for the southern end of the Flinders Ranges. Well, that just puts everything in perspective. Like every aspect of the pound and the Flinders Ranges makes it work here and here. Through the summer months, it's hot, as you'd expect. The driving's easy, the roads are good, and there are plenty of reasons to stop. We can heat up again before diving back into the car. One of the great stitch-ups in our family is on a hot day, someone will hit the button to heat your seat and you drive along going, why am I so hot? Well, now you can get back at them on a cold day and hit the ventilated seat button. On a day like this, in the Flinders Ranges where it's 30 degrees, it's absolutely priceless. Back to home base, where Vinny, one of the senior guides, fleshes out Mark the pilot's geological version of the Pound. This is the dreaming story of the Adnyamathanha people. Vinny, I know some of the geological story of the inland sea coming in and washing out and the sediment and the mountains like Himalayas. So that's one version of the story of how the Wilpena Pound came to be. I know you've got a different version.
Our leader, Geology, is the kingfisher.
Yeah.
He was up at the Srezniki, up near the Srezniki, a place called Mount Termination, and he forgot about the ceremony that was happening inside here. So the second in charge lit a fire, tucked some green leaves on it, got the smoke signal going, and then Yuli seen the smoke plume and started travelling south. Lit up a big fire. That's how the oculus found that he was walking south. And when he got here, he told everyone, because he'd seen the two oculus coming, he told everyone, look, we've got these two oculus coming, we're going to get the ceremony done. And as they finished, the snake surrounded everybody and caused a dust storm and confused the people, so they stood still. When they'd seen the eye of one of the snakes, they thought it was Mars. So they were saying, oh, it must be night time. Then the snake started eating everybody. A bit like all of us on Christmas Day, when we eat too much, what happens to us? We go to sleep. So they've been laying there ever since.
Right. There was one of the versions of the story I've heard is that everyone was caught inside and using their spears, and so that's the ranges and the lumps and the ranges.
Yeah, trying to hold the body up to stop them from getting crushed.
Yeah.
And you can see that from the air. You can see that from the road as well. You can see where all the points are. That's where the men were standing there trying to bust out from the inside.
After the break, we dive a little deeper into the Pound. This is a driving holiday in its purest sense. There are good miles between sites and good opportunities to challenge yourself both spiritually and physically. So you're out here in the Flinders Ranges and you see that dirt road turn off, the lookout, Pugilist Hill, and you think, should I? Well, yeah, you should. And in the Subaru Outback, you've got symmetrical all-wheel drive. You've got 3 different versions of X mode to drive in. So snow and dirt, there's normal, and there's deep snow and mud. And then the third part of the combination is ground clearance, which means put those 3 together and you can pretty well go over every cattle grid and other things you want to. Brilliant. Get to where you're going. You won't be surprised to know this is also a spiritual holiday. Pauline, as an elder, part of your responsibility is to share your stories, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the way that old people used to educate the young people when they used to sit them around and tell them stories. The story I'm going to tell you is that I want you to know. But I'm going to tell you a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll explain it in a foreign language.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, great.
Water, I want you to baladupi ikago. In the vachunga, ulpingo take. Art no venture money venture aldanga. Vulka yava under baldanga. Ngali yakari walkening. Vulkan at wangat yotak. Archi. Bata pina ingonong tamanaj. Ina na you career manak. Malaka wing utek. Art no venture yain money venture aldanga. Vulka yava under baldanga. Ngali yakari walkening. Vulkan at wangat yotak. Archi. Bata pina ingonong tamanaj. Ina na uyarra manak. Malaka uyarra manak. Art nangukoran ditaku. Mungu wirini matakal. The backpara walkum yatindakulin. Idan atil nala idanek. Anarich. Awi would eat in a okota yalda chilikan. Now I'll explain it in a foreign language.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
There once lived a robin redbreast couple. Lived in an area like this. On this particular day, the clouds started to work up. And the wife yelled out, "Oh fella, bring the wallaby rugs. Our kids will get wet." He said, "Wait there first, I'm hungry, having a feed of mistletoe berries." This went on for a couple of minutes, and with that, the wife got really anxious, so she ran across and got a digging stick. Ran across to him and hit him on the head. Next when the blood started to flow down his chest, so that is why the robin redbreast has a red chest. The moral of that story?
Listen to your wife. I love the telling. Thank you very much.
No worries.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
You all need a base to explore Wilpena Pound, somewhere to hide from the heat of the day, or somewhere to return to share your stories. Wilpena Pound Resort is such a spot, an oasis within the robust landscape, a genuine chance to reflect on what you've seen, what you've done, a place to swim, have a drink, maybe even a sunbake, or just nothing. A perfect chance for nothing. Did I tell you about the food? See, everyone wants to know about the food. You get home full of stories. You talk about the eagle you saw in the tree, majestically sitting there, or the emus walking past, kangaroos. And they go, yeah, but how's the food? Well, the food at Wilpena Pound Resort has been excellent. You see the kangaroo, you eat the kangaroo. Not true. But this is kangaroo. Steak, whatever you like, beautifully prepared. So leave me here while I eat it. We'll have more after the break. No, seriously, this is not the one we saw. If you Googly Flinders Ranges images, you will see a road, a winding dirt road across a mountain range. It's called the Razorback. Is it fun? What do you reckon? And it's a necessary challenge to deliver you to one of the southern Flinders Ranges highlights. Oh, you can take the bitumen, but why would you? In fact, the whole drive to the Brackna Gorge, snaking its way along or in a riverbed, feels entirely Jurassic. Back to fault lines for a second, but that is one of the rarest fault lines in the world because it's so straight. And one of the constants about the Flinders Ranges is how much it surprises people and so often. So before Christmas, a river ran through here 6 metres high. 2 years ago, there was snow here to 6 inches. So whilst it looks like it would be like this forever, it's constantly changing. Relentlessly beautiful. Brackna Gorge's scale is difficult to take in. Where you can self-guide and find your favourite bits, Sacred Canyon is another matter. You'll need an Adnyamathanha guide to get you there. And Brucey is a local boy returning home both physically and spiritually. It's beautiful.
It is.
Nice little gorge.
Yep. And well, it's not a gorge, it's really Sacred Canyon.
Oh, okay.
So it's Urumalka. So our business went through all this place here. So we use this place as our road. Well, this is our history going throughout this place, so our map.
Okay, and when you say Sacred Canyon, so that's your business, isn't it?
Yes.
Not for us.
No. So,
but it's okay to go, obviously.
Yeah, of course, yes,
Okay.
yes. So it's just the information of basically all of our history going through along here. So as you got here now, this is what we use as our road map. So this is the first markings right here. Then as you're going a bit more further, there are more. This is the first part of the road map.
So the map begins here.
The map begins here.
So now you're coming along and you go, this is...
And then we follow the path all the way going through.
Okay, great. Brucey, how old are the carvings?
We don't have the estimated time, but we are dating back to 40,000 years. Basically how it is the taller they are, the older they are, and then it goes down in a period of time. So there's your timeline going down. So from the tallest point where the first carving is, going straight down, and we believe there's still more.
Okay, more underneath?
More underneath, yeah.
Because, I mean, the riverbed would have come down.
Yeah, that's right, and all the silk and all that there, so just mixing up, so never know.
Never know.
Never know.
Find out one day.
That's it. And where we are coming right now is where our traditional hunting happened through here as well.
Yeah.
So our people would set up the nets right here.
Yeah.
And then they'll use the land. So they'll go up on top of the canyons here and chase all the wallabies, the orderloos.
Down here?
Down, all falling off. So they'll chase them down and they'll fall down into here because they'll be all broken and that there. And then we've got it made and they'll set.
So obviously use the land to your advantage.
That's it, yes.
Sacred Canyon is full of stories. There are stories that can't be shared with visitors for cultural reasons, and others that can. As you'd imagine, there's a few of us here, and we're, what's that mean? What's this? So Auntie Pauline said, hey, calm down. Can everyone please sit down, be silent for 2 minutes? You've never been here, so let the place speak to you and the spirits speak to you and just get to know it a little bit before you jump in. So that's what we did. And it made an enormous difference. It was actually beautiful. So think about that when you're going somewhere new. Just try and feel it. Every Adnyamathanha person I've spoken to has said the same thing about the Pound, without exception, that it's a deeply spiritual place, a place to recharge and breathe and still the mind. It's a place for clarity, a cleansing place. This is life. I know I can't feel that the same way, but I can feel it special in ways that defy description. I got up really early this morning and it was still early enough to have stars in the west and the sun coming up in the east, and I walked and found a spot where there was like no sign of humans at all. I didn't have to go far. So I stood still, and the first thing I heard was the kookaburras and the magpies, and there was this buzzing, and I thought it was flies, and I thought, that's early, but it was bees, and just above me were the flowers of a gum tree and native bees, and it was just beautiful. So I stood there and just got lost, like lost in time, because it's all so big and vast. So I want you to leave me here, because we're on the other end of the day, in a different spot. Sun's setting in the west, stars are about to come up. I'm going to think about our next great Australian detour. I'm also waiting for the greatest show on earth. It's happening up there, the Star Show. See you later.